All right, welcome. We got a small but powerful group of coaches today. And yeah, today we're going to just, I figured we'd leave it open for people to ask questions about what's they're stuck with, how to have a particular breakthrough with a client that this is going on with. And if we've got plenty of time left, which I think we will, maybe one or two of you guys could even coach me and I'll do some real-time feedback. Like I was saying, like I do with my mentor sessions where you get to coach me in the moment. You get to kind of get a little bit of feedback. Okay, what's going on? Oh, geez, Ron, I'm stuck. Like, I don't even know what to do in this spot. Great. And we just break away. I'll give you a little feedback, couple thoughts. We'll push it around, jump right back into coaching without skipping a beat. And then you get to integrate what you now know. So this is always a lot of fun and a lot of growth happens in those moments. So, all right, without further ado, Jill, Kara, and the king of all, the man of the hour, Fred. Like besides me, like you're one of the only guys that's here all the time, Fred. So thanks for being here, buddy.
It's a pleasure. I always learn.
Good to have you back. All right, so let's just start where we start. What is on everybody's mind in terms of what would you like to make sure we talk about today, and we'll go from there.
My big thing, as always, is on the business building side. I feel like I'm busy doing lots of stuff. So I guess my question is, how much should I be doing for free, building community, putting stuff out there, getting it known out there of what I do?
Right.
And how much should be so that's kind of the soft marketing stuff versus direct sales conversations.
Yeah, that's a great question. We can definitely talk about that. It's some people have powerful referral sources that bury them with clients, and that's always like it's fun.
That's where most of my clients are coming from right now, is from referrals, but I don't have the threshold yet where I have enough past clients to where that, so the numbers are trickling in. But yeah, need to be more proactive.
Turn on that spigot a little more. All right, cool. Thank you, my friend. All right. What else is on everybody's mind?
Yeah, like good ways to create accountability for people. I have some clients that they say they'll do a thing and, without making it super tasky, because I'm kind of bridging sort of therapy and coaching. So I don't want it to become, I don't know. I guess I feel a little conflicted myself around giving people action items when everybody seems so fucking overwhelmed with their lives.
Yeah.
So there's that. And
love that.
And then also people who just get stuck in story talking nonstop. It's hard for me to, especially being as that I'm a little bit in therapy too, just how to stop the story. Yeah. Or how to not stop it, but how to get into how to find my way in.
Well, it's funny, even in your struggle for the words, it's like it's somewhat in the struggle of like in the story. Okay, well, the story's not bad. Well, it can be bad. Okay, well, it's not always bad. And it's like, so there's sort of a sorting through that, even that, yeah, I hear you're doing good. There's some cut and dried answers, and it's sort of like everything else in life. It's like, okay, applying it in a timely way is where the money really is for us. And so anyway, good. Love that. And I'm going to add a little note here because I was talking to another coach recently who had a question about, let me just frame it in my mind. What was it first? Clients who, I think this would be a nice add-on to the accountability conversation. Clients who, and I've not had one of these for a long time, but it's like, oh yeah, Fred, I'll do the 20 push-ups a day, and then I'll read I'll read a chapter a day on this book, and then I come back next week like, I didn't do any push-ups, and I decided to read comic books instead. I just felt it was really important for me to connect to my inner Ronnie. And it's like, they're so engaged and enrolling in terms of their going off the rails and doing their own thing. It's like, well, is that bad? They seem happy. I don't know. Well, but they said they got this out of it. So what do I do? But there are people who do that chronically, and it's a way to keep themselves from actually doing the mundane, but it's the daily disciplines that get us to where we want to be. So how do we work with that as well? That's a fun conversation too.
And also accountability. Like, I had somebody ask me, I asked, would you like some accountability? And he said, yeah, what would that look like? And I said, well, let's talk about it. And he said, well, how about you message me once a day? And I don't feel good about that, because then I feel like I become the nag, like, the parent. And so I said, well, how about you message me once a day? And of course he didn't.
Yeah, that's correct. Because the real problem, the meta problem here is accountability, is discipline, is just accountability to themselves. We're just, I know we're kind of getting into it a little bit, but we'll come back out, to hear from Kara, and then we'll dive back in. But we get caught in the, oh, but he didn't do the thing. Right, he didn't do the thing. How is this emblematic or systemic, a point to a systemic issue? Lack of accountability with him or herself, lack of follow through. It's like, right, if you're not doing it with me, you said you're going to do X. I'm actually working on, I've talked about this in other calls, creating a workshop on developing your coaching philosophy, which is really your philosophy for life, and then applying it to your coaching. But one of the things that is certainly true for me is the power that you have in the world is the power of your word. Right. And if you don't trust yourself when you say, I'm going to text you every single day, just for 1 week, you don't do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you say, hey, client, just checking in to see, oh yeah, I meant to have been busy. Nothing Thursday, nothing Friday. It's like every day that goes by that I don't keep my word, I'm eroding my sense of self, my sense of power in the world, my actual power in the world. And yeah, so we're going to come back to that for sure. Good Tara Goodsell is here. Hello, Tara.
Hello.
You're just
Sorry, I
in
was
time.
late. Perfect.
You're just in time. Well, I'm just taking questions. Like, what's on people's minds that we want to talk about? Tough coaching situations, questions you got about coaching. And we're going to talk about accountability. We'll touch on business building, people stuck in their story. And Kara, why don't you jump in, share a thought or a question that's on your mind, and then Tara, share whatever's on yours, and we'll just get to work.
Sounds good.
So excited about all of the stuff that's been brought so far. I feel like they all kind of apply to me. But what I was thinking about before getting onto this call, like one of my most challenging sessions was, and this might even relate back to accountability, but was, a guy coming who had just all of the goals that he'd been setting for himself was just, failing left and right. And he came feeling so low, super low. And what I struggled with in that session was having him going between having him staying with those low feelings and really feeling it and being with it versus I don't want to say trying to get him out of it, but balancing with encouragement, trying to get more uplifting. Like I struggled in the moment on which way to go, and ultimately I ended up having him just sit in the muck, which he left really unsatisfied. But later actually came back and thanked me, which was interesting. But that whole scenario just had me mind tangenting on like, which way do you go in some of those situations?
I'm glad you chose a path. We'll talk more about it, but I'm glad you chose something, because you get hit by cars on both sides of the road when you're trying to do both, and you get nowhere. So nice choosing. Your guts served you there for sure.
Baby gut.
Your what?
I said my baby gut.
Your baby gut served you. Kara's pregnant, Tara. In case you didn't put two and two together. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, Tara, what's on your mind? What else? What do you want to make sure else we talk about besides what we've already mentioned?
I guess one thing that came up for me yesterday, I guess like the last few weeks, I just haven't felt great and like myself, and so I'm doing all my self-care and doing what I need to do, and I'm kind of feeling better. But yesterday definitely, like I knew I wasn't present, so I just took some deep breaths, but I think like any of that kind of stuff where you want to, you know, you're a human and a coach, right? And so like that grace, but also wanting to be the best I can for the people I'm coaching, I guess.
Let's put that in the question. Like, what's like
Yeah.
the, how do I, or what's the,
yeah, how do I show up the best way I can?
well, and there's something in there too. I'll tell you a little inside scoop. My wife's a coach and she had to cancel everybody today. Her mom went to the emergency room at 2:30 this morning. So she had a group coaching call at 8. She had like 2 or 3 in-person clients that come to her house. Clean slate. Now, could she have snuck one in at 9 to 10 and then go? It's like, yeah. Or sometimes you just have to have a boundary. Go like, look, life happened. I can't be here for you. And that's actually what she said. I wrote on my clients that I cannot be there for you the way I need to be. Can we reschedule? And that's that. So, you know, I have not exercised that knuckleball. In fact, old term from when I was a kid, knuckleball beats them all, we used to say. Never worked. When you shoot odds and evens, you know, knuckleball beats them all. Like, yeah, get out of here. Give me a 1 or a 2. So, but anyway, we still said it. But I've got something going on right now. My dad has got to get a tracheotomy, and the hospital's got this thing like, oh, we got to bring you in on Tuesday today. And they're like, well, go into the emergency room and tell him you can't breathe. We're like, wait, he's got surgery tomorrow and you're telling us to like scam them? How about just tell us when a bed is ready and we'll be there? And it's this weird thing. And so we're like, after this, I am doing a mentor session. And then somewhere in that 2-hour window, I've got to bring my dad to the emergency and deal with it. What do I do? Well, the way things worked out, I'm able to be here. I'm able to be there for my mentor session, and we're going to plot it in there. But if it couldn't be, then I would have had to bail. It's like, because, so we always want to make sure that we have, right, that permission. And I did mentor somebody once who she told me about, oh yeah, like every so often I just blah, blah, blah. And it was a somewhat frequent thing. Like every couple months, she just has to, and I was, you know, said some version of like, that's not a good plan. Then your clients just know that you're never managing yourself or can't handle yourself or manage your energy. Or so, you know, I think, you know, as we go in to consider what you're talking about, it's like, if we're managing ourselves, if we're taking care of ourselves, you can pull out the, whatever that ace in the hole is once in a while. Outside of that, yeah. How do you show up your best for your clients on a consistent basis? Great question. Ready to have some fun, everybody? All right, we'll start at the top of we'll go clockwise, and that means you, Jill, first. So, oh, actually, wait, yes, let's do the business building. Let's get that conversation out of the way so we can get to the nuts and bolts of the coaching bit.
Yeah, I want to.
And I know
get onto all the others.
What's that?
I want to get onto all the other topics.
Thanks, buddy. And I know like this is on your mind. It's on everybody's mind. So I appreciate you bringing it up. And, you know, the questions are always like, how do I get people to know what I want? Something with coaching, it's not like, you know, a steak. And it's like, well, everybody likes steak if they do, right? Like, well, you can go down to this butcher. He's the best. It's like, okay, well, then that's actionable. But like, you know, how do you you need a coach? Well, what are you saying about me? Well, you know, you swear too much, or, you know, you've been talking about this and that, and there's a way that we can point towards that, whether it's for ourselves or referring for other people, as if there's a problem over there. And so I just want to make sure that all of us are orienting ourselves properly in some version of, again, pointing to philosophically, I think who people are is who they are at their best. Our job is to coach them toward that. And so how do we design with those that could be good referral sources or people that we want to work with that we're pitching ourselves, so that they're getting very clearly like, I love what you're up to. I would love to support you. Or, hey, I got this guy, Fred, he's a friend of mine. Man, he actually helps people do X, Y, Z, or create 1, 2, 3. You need to connect with him, man. He's outstanding. And so, you know, you can't make people be enthusiastic, but you can help orient people at least in the right direction as they do refer, right? And so insofar as we're wanting to control the uncontrollable, make sure that we're always pointing towards, that which is great within inside of people and coaching them towards that. And as we work with our referral sources, we're doing the same thing. It's not about, you've hit a glass ceiling. It's like, yeah, you've hit a glass ceiling, but that's because you're capable of this. I know this guy, Fred, or this gal, Jill, who's outstanding, who can help you break through that and reach new levels of spiritual awareness. And that's what you're all about. Like, oh my gosh, who is that girl? I gotta talk to her, right? So, yeah. And speaking of steak, you sell the sizzle, not the steak. Well, it's 1.5 inches thick. It's red. It's like, oh, it's dead, gross, slimy. You're like, no, wait, hold on. You sell the sizzle, the smell, the whatever. And that's, of course, if you're not a vegan, right? Smell the broccoli with a little bit of garlic, You sell the sizzle there too. Let's see. Yeah, what else do we want to say about, the business building and the referrals bit? I mean, we could talk like a week-long workshop, we could talk about this. But besides encouragement and making sure we are just sharing it with people and getting out there, what else, do you need to hear, Fred, or what else is on your mind, or anybody else for that matter?
I don't know. For me, when it comes to just selling the coaching, with the medicine, I have a lot of confidence, but I don't have confidence in holding someone over time in a coaching relationship, doing the CTI model. So it's hard for me to sell myself on that. Mm-hmm. To people. I have a ton of confidence that I provide an immense amount of value in the other thing I do. And so I sell it.
Give us like a 2-sentence on what you do so that everybody else knows.
So I kind of therapeutically work with plant medicines to help people who are, the same stuff that we're working with people in coaching, stuck in some way, or a lot of times I think of it as like a spiritual crisis, but you can frame it however you want. It could just be like, I've been depressed for a long time, or I am in these relationships that don't really nurture, feed me, whatever it is. But we'll do a ceremony, a plant ceremony, like a psychedelic plant ceremony. So they're, big doses. Yeah.
What I was going to say is, so what you've got right there is a package. It's like, we're going to do a plant ceremony. You're going to go do this big, scary thing, but you've got a buddy with you who's been there many times. I can guide you through, and this is what you could. So for what you've got, what you're so confident in, correct me if I'm wrong, is the outcome. You can trust you're going to get this outcome. And wherever Ron is going to go, he's going to experience some stuff that's weird, exciting, profound, whatever, or maybe all of them. And you've been there and you can help unpack it with me, and that.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And here you go, CTI, and what can happen. And we'll call CTI, we'll just call it coaching in general, because whether it's CTI, Coach University, Coach, whatever your thing is, it becomes a big open door of like, what's possible. And here's some focus areas. And I've got a client right now who pays me well. And guess what? His relationships are going better. Stuff with his business that he's creating is going better. His stuff with his current job is going better. It's like, all that's there. It's like, oh my gosh, that was supposed to be our stuff for our next year. Handled, 5 months. Okay, well, now what? Well, that's great. And it can still feel like, okay, we've done that and we still want to keep working together. And so now what? But there doesn't, even if you make the $1 million, it's like, okay, I did the $1 million. Now what? And so that actually brings me a little bit to what Kara talked about with the low or the high. I made the $1 million, be with that, be with the low, versus encouragement versus, hey man, there's more to be done. So it's still like, how do we be in that process? So Jill, correct me if I'm wrong again, but it's like, yeah, you're really confident here, but then when it comes to the other thing, it's like, what constitutes quality or well done or accomplished or having something along those lines?
Yeah. How do I keep it focused? Because it's so focused in the package that I have, for lack of a better word, right? We're preparing for something and then we're integrating the something. And then it becomes this sort of ongoing integration until they decide to meet the medicine again. And that's where it can start to feel like a little dilute. And that's where the coaching would really come into play.
You just said meet the medicine again. You've got your jargon for all this. there's an outcome, there's an understanding, there's an expectation. And so it really becomes a question of what's the expectation you set for your clients that's a compelling, or your prospects, that's compelling. Here's what you can count on. If I were to think about this gentleman that I coach, it's like, here's what you can count on. Like, and I tell this to him, like, oh, you want this, this, and that? Yeah, we're going after this. Now it's happened very quickly. And guess what? I'm good at what I do. Great. He's really done his work. And that's, that makes a difference, right? But that's a great thing to tell our clients. If you do your work, yeah, you want $1 million, you want to be closer with your wife, you want to be closer to your creator, like, awesome. I don't know how quickly any of these things happen, but the more you lean in, again, coaching philosophy, the more you lean in, the more you do, the more you show up, the more you become this man, right? Not just do the actions, the quicker you're going to be experiencing this. Now we're selling, the solution is in them. And so again, it always points back to, like, you want to be better at selling coaching. You got to get better at selling clients on themselves. Like, that's the package. What is it you even want, client? When they come to take the medicine or meet the medicine, it's like they're wanting something. Well, the want's got to be sufficient in the coaching. And that's going to help, I think, all of us do a better job at marketing, whether it's social media or whether it's just, word of mouth. So can we put a pin in that one for now? Cool. I love, this. What's that?
No, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Fred. Yeah. It's funny. I've got like this whole coaching philosophy thing on my mind. I did a bunch of writing for it this morning. And so as I'm talking, it's like, oh, that's something. Oh, add that one too. Talk about that. All right, cool. So in fact, I'm going to write that in my Word document. Everybody hold on one second. I want to write one more thing. What did I just say? Oh, right. That's who they are is who they are at their best. I already know that, but who are is, oops, I'm trying to do it shorter. Who at best. So I want to include that. All right. All right. So accountability. Not too tasky. And then, like I said, we can roll in the person who's, changing up, creating their own accountability after committing to something. And then I think we can transition to the story aspect. So,
and even like what's appropriate accountability, right? Like, I'm not going to call you. I don't have time to call all my clients every day and send them messages. Have you done the thing we talked about? I don't want to be that character in their life.
No,
and I would have to put that into my calendar all day too.
Now your life though is about being a babysitter too. So I'm glad that's repugnant to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And I know it's not effective.
Well, no, because then what happens when you go away? It's no different than, our virtues as human beings are, often manifest as virtues in our coaching, but they also can be our greatest detriments. I am, natively really enthusiastic. I can be inspiring, and that's wonderful. And it really helps. And I laugh. Sometimes I'll say, like, I'm the stereotype of enthusiasm, it's great, except for, out of control. I remember when I first started coaching, I was like, up and up. And like, then you start doing enthusiasm. And then every call, like, I got to keep Tara excited and motivated and excited. And I remember coaching, and I forgot, it was 4 or 5, maybe 6 calls in a row with this guy. And every call was like, more juice and more. And I remember having this moment going, I can't sustain this. This is not sustainable. And it really was the first time I was able to really reflect on and see my virtues for what they were, and see how they had become crutches, overused, and I dialed it up so much that it was a detriment, right? So, yeah, we want to make sure that we are, again, drawing out the best in people. So I can crank up and I can be enthusiastic, but I've got to be drawing it out of this person, lest when Ron goes away, oh, Tara's got no more juice because Ron's been pumping me up every week for the last 5 weeks. I give Tara some great accountability. She doesn't do it. If did you do this, Tara? Did you? Oh no, Ron, but you didn't text me Thursday. That's why. And I forgot. And it's like, well, now Ron's responsible. What the hell are we doing here? Add that to your coaching philosophy. You're responsible for your growth. Your job is to keep your side of the street clean, not worry about my side of the street, right? So you guys are all getting a leg up on the philosophy workshop. So, do you agree with that? Do you not agree with that? Well, yeah, of course, Ron. It's not, your responsibility to, Mom is calling, but mom can text and I can answer after that. It's your responsibility to draw out the other person to show up most responsibly. Like that's how it just has to be. And honestly, if we're going to have a better world, each one of us are going to have to recognize that there is a higher good, there is a moral urge to the universe, there is a God, there is a whatever you want to see it. And our job is to perceive it and act through that. And in that process, you're responsible to carry your own weight. And I always tell my friends and my family and my kids and everybody around me is like, I think our job is to surround ourselves with excellent people and let them know what we're working on and how we're trying to grow and how we're trying to do better. And in that, yeah, you'll have people who will support you, but they're not going to come over and mow your lawn every day. And they're not going to dust your house and they're not going to clean your toilet. It's like, oh, that's for you to do, Ron. So, all right. So with that as a background, yeah, accountability, it's got to be coming, like their job is to do the thing. And as I was saying, Tara, right before you got on, the idea is, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I think I've got mom and dad in my mind here. What was I just saying about the idea is, what were we saying before?
Your growth is your responsibility.
Yeah, it was about accountability. Let me get back from how to create accountability. That's not too tasky. Because I think I just want to do it in order. Don't worry about it being too tasky. And the idea is, yes, we don't want to give people, Jill, this was your concern. Just a minutia of things to do. Okay, you could do this. And the first thing in the morning, you drink 4 ounces of water, then you meditate for 15 minutes, then you chant for 5, then it's like, holy.
Is you're setting them up for failure.
Exactly. So if we know that, then let's be aware that the pendulum can swing to this side. We don't want that. We also don't want Jill chasing me to see if I, brush my teeth today, right? So what's somewhere in this middle? And it is going to be a little bit amorphous. We're going to kind of find who we are at our best, as well as how this client needs us to show up most effectively for them. A gentleman that I keep talking about right now is, well, it's Tuesday. I might not now because we're talking tomorrow, but usually, 3-4 days after a week, I'll say, hey, how's that thing you've been working on? And I just check in just because he's working on something that's been a little challenging, just kind of like, hey man, I'm still here. And when clients come to my mind about something, I love to just say, hey, just thinking of you, or, hey, just checking in. How's that going? Just to open the dialogue back up. And that is not a prerequisite to doing effective coaching, but know that that's an option. What I don't want to do is get into doing, you'll do these 15 things, right? Because impossible. However, what we're looking to do, like I said before, the power of your word, you can invert it either way you want. The power of your word is your power in the world. So what are the things you can consciously decide you're doing that you want to do either differently, more of, less of, that'll move you closer to being the man or woman you want to be, or you are at your best, we'll say. It's probably a better way to say that. And so now, I always talk about brushing my teeth because I brush, floss, and rinse every night. That's like, if you call me at 2 a.m, hey, Ron, did you 363 days out of the year, Ron has done that. So, but that has been a keystone sort of accountability for me from, who knows, 15 years back. It's like, I don't care how bad a day I've had, at least I can do this. You're going to begin to create those for your clients, that no matter what, they make their bed in the morning, no matter what, they know, like you're talking about meeting the medicine. It's like, okay, great. They get done with that. I don't know anything about what you do, but it's like, okay, for the next 2 weeks, you have to drink 80 ounces of water. You just have to cleanse your, and I don't know if that's true, but I'm just making that up. Then that becomes a non-negotiable, in that you have to do this to get the most out of this practice, for you to cleanse your body, to prepare for the next thing we're doing in 2 weeks. So it's not like I got tired, my wife called. It's like, this is it. No, drink the damn water. And that's how now we're integrating things that either you're going to be doing anyway, or you have to do, but a little bit more of, so that you can, 1, get more out of it. We're going to debrief that. 2, reveal the man that you are. Like, wow, Ron, you did this 2 weeks in a row. What does that say about you? Ooh, a man of discipline. I'm committed. I'm right. And as I see that I'm showing up this way with these qualities, guess what happens? My self-identity evolves. I see myself as a man of discipline, as a man who is thoughtful, a man who is disciplined, kind, open, whatever those qualities are that you're able to see and, we name and work with. And guess what? Self-fulfilling prophecy. You start seeing it, naming it, you start creating more and more of that. Who we are drives what we do, creates our results. So accountability all needs to be tied into doing something that creates this person to reveal more of who they are at their best. So now when they don't show up having done the thing, you get to say, hey, Ron, what happened? You said X was important. You said that, your father's a real disciplined guy. You want to be more disciplined, and then you didn't do it. What happened? And it's real curiosity rather than like, it's not punitive, because then the person's going to shut down. It's not, we don't even mention it because we don't want to deal with the confrontation of calling people on their stuff. Like, this is where coaching actually, where you earn your money, right?
And are you checking in on this at the top of the call?
Yeah, here's what I do. The order of operations for me is, hey, Jill, what are we doing today? Ron, I want to work on losing 10 pounds. Okay, great. So if they can create a plan for that, yeah, great. Okay, good. So we'll get to that in a second. Hey, how did you do with your 20 push-ups? Hey, how did you do with your 80 ounces of water? Why? Because I want to know what we're doing today. I want to budget my time. You might say, like, my dad's going in for surgery and I got to think things through. And guess what? The 20 push-ups, I'll touch on that maybe. But we got to get to this thing that's urgent for you. All right. But yeah, we're going to go to the accountability. Hey, Ron, what happened? Oh, this came up and that. And this is where, it kind of goes to the, Kara, your thing is, do you go this way? Do you go that way? You got to name it. If you're a coach that's kind of like mushy and it's all okay, then I'm going to learn, my saboteurs are going to run all over you and I'm going to fire you. And we're getting Heather to come in. And I'm going to fire you not because, say hi to Heather. Hey, Heather. All right. So I'm going to fire you not because it wasn't a good accountability. I'm going to fire you because unconsciously, I'm going to know that there's something that's not working here. It's soft. And you're going to get the old breakup routine. Oh, Jill, it's me. It's not you, But meanwhile, it's because, we weren't strong when we needed to be there. So yeah, you got to hold that person to account for sure. Don't worry about tasky. Make sure it's integrated with who they are. And the activities are not many, like you are all over the top of, but that they're deliberate towards the thing they want. I'm gonna say one more thing and then ask your question. I'd rather have them do one thing and less of the thing and develop some success and build on that than crush. And I'm a big, let's get action. Let's get doing some stuff right away, guy, for sure. I start with action. Deep in the learning is kind of my follow-up right behind, but I'm big on, you want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, great. Well, what do you know? I could do this. I could do that. I could do that. Great. How about this? You walk at least 15 minutes a day. You could do more, but at least 15 minutes. And you're like, Ron, I was going to say an hour. It's like, great. What is the minimum that no matter what, I don't care if it's 11:20 at night, you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to, you will make it happen. All right. 25 minutes. Great. I'd rather come see you next week and you're like, Ron, I'm 6 for 7. I did it. Here's what I learned. And we're building and growing, than crash and burn. You might crash and burn. That's okay. Let's learn some lessons. But yeah, the accountability is, that's where the money is, baby. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah. Well, so like in your check-ins, when you message them, hey, just thinking about you, how's that hard thing going? And then you get caught up in a humongous back and forth. Like,
well, what constitutes humongous back and forth? No, I'm not doing it. My wife yelled at me. I'm feeling sad. Not happening. Like, is that humongous? Like, there's a lot going on.
But then you respond to that, right? You're not just like thumbs up. Talk to you about it on our call.
block right? Him. Yeah. No, I'd be like, dude, what is going on? What do you mean your wife is? Well, I don't want to make it a hyperbolic, so there's nothing with teeth. So what might happen? Got in a fight with my wife. And,
it's like this. It'll be like this. Yeah, I'm kind of I a little bit. Some days.
I would say, what does some days mean?
Yeah, well, like I journaled like for 5 minutes yesterday, but I don't know. I didn't really get much out of it. And
okay, and yeah, great. I would say, great. You committed to doing for 7 days. Like, we're not screwing around here. It's like you committed to 7 days, 5 minutes. So what would I say? I would probably do 5 minutes, ? Yeah, well, I've been busy. And I would say, dude, don't give me that. I've been busy. 24 hours. You pooped for 10 minutes today, didn't you? You could have been doing it on the dumper. Like, you're killing me here. Like, you're making up stuff. And all I want to do is I'm going to pop the balloon so we can at least stop BSing ourselves. Because if I'm going to buy the lie, then we're going to build whatever the coaching is on the lie. So you just got to name that, and then they're going to go, you're right. And you're like, okay, cool. So now that you're done being full of shit, and you can laugh about it a little bit, and then you say, all right, so what's your commitment going forward? Because I know you don't want to be Mr. Excuse or Captain Excuse guy. No. Okay. So what's it going to be? And then you'll get like FUCK back and be like, yep, I know. Great. So what you do, 10 minutes. What time will you do it by so that we don't find ourselves in this situation, when we talk on Thursday? And then he's going like, okay, I will have done it by 9 o'clock in the morning. Great. Do you want to like, let me know after you've done it, or you just want to like do it and we'll talk Thursday? No, I got it. We'll talk Thursday. Great. And then if they were 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 the last couple of days, I'm like, kick ass, dude. So what was the difference? You know what? That I had like kind of like a back end, like it had to be done by like a parameter that made a difference for me. Great, man. Great. So who is this guy that showed up? What do you now know? How else will you employ this going forward? Like this boundary thing you gave yourself. Now we're building momentum. And now, like I always do this thing, like alignment with self, connection, integrity, integration. Now we've got momentum. Those other 4 days, what else do we need to grab learning wise? Yes, you can be full of shit. Yes, your saboteurs, sneak in and give you a good story and scam you with some good sounding stuff like you'll do it later, just enough to make it till it's 9:30 and you're too exhausted. And I get it. At some point, your body the mind is willing, the flesh, whatever the heck it is. And so now what do you know? What are we going to do going forward? No guilt, no shame required, just enough to foment the change, to foster the change. Cool?
Yeah. Thank you.
I want to add this into actually Kara's, I think, stuck in story. Oh, let me tie in the thing that I mentioned from my other client there, the or mentee student, I guess. The person's like, oh, I was going to do this, but I decided to do this instead. I don't know what it is, but I had this happen in my younger days. It hasn't happened in a long time. And I don't want to speak of it as being any virtue of mine, which means it's actually going to show up probably in the next few months here. Because, once you speak of a thing, what I'm making up is that it's a species of client that, and I can be this way, by the way, which is like lots of thinking, lots of ideas, lots of whatever. And then like, you just kind of go do this thing, go do something else. Like I decided not to do push-ups. I decided to go for a walk every day. Now, what you'll do in this situation is like, okay, Ron, so you walked for 20 minutes a day instead of doing 20 push-ups. I thought you wanted to be more buff. And that was the thing. But walking and buff, they're not the same, right? So what's up with that? And as long as you're willing to name it, as long as you're willing to get to it, and then Ron goes, yeah, you know what? I know, but you know what? The truth is it's my insecurity that comes up and I want to get muscular again. But the truth is I want to breathe easier and I want to be more healthy and fit. And we talked about fit, right? And so this checks the box for me. I'd be like, all right, I just want to be really sure. I'm going to push back a little bit, so you want to push a little bit for sure, to make sure that we're not full of it. And if this is a pattern, right, I'll let it go once, maybe a second time, kind of like a partial type thing. But once it becomes like 2, 3, 4 times, now it starts to be a thing, like every month, every, couple of weeks, we're doing this thing. You got to name it. It's like, dude, you're working your own plan. And again, philosophy. Heather, we've been talking about coaching philosophy too, and I'm going to do a workshop and I'll announce that at some point, but this is actually obviously a very vital part of our coaching. But geez, I just lost my train of thought again. I should have said the thing. From now on, Kara, yell at me. Say the thing, Ron, first, and then tell us. What was I saying right before that? The person who changes and bops around.
You said name it. Is there a pattern? Call them out on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's the 4th or 5th time it happens.
It's a pattern.
Crying out loud. It'll come back. It'll come back. I got to blame my mom and dad on this one. Okay, I'll do it later. Yeah, so just let's just put a period on this now. Keep an eye on it being a pattern. Be willing to name it. And if you're willing to name it as a coach and be in the hard conversation, it's going to cover a multitude of sins, as the Bible says.
So Ron, what would that look like, naming it as the coach, or do you have them name it?
Well, like I said a minute ago, it would be like, all right, Heather, so wait a second, you said you were going to do 20 push-ups a day, and now you're doing a walk. Okay, cool, but you said you wanted to, tone your arms. What's going on?
Okay.
And I wouldn't try to sugarcoat it more than that. I kind of might, with a smirky face, be like, come on, what's happening there? And then, you're like, well, I hate push-ups. I'm like, all right, well, this is what I was going to say. But in sobriety, in this sober moment of our coaching, you decided this was important, or this is important. Mm-hmm. And then you spun off and you talked to your sister, and then she said this, and you had a glass of wine. You're like, who cares about that? I want all. So, and I don't even want to say you had a glass of wine. Did I say that? I was thinking in my mind. You went and you had a burrito with your sister, and she was like, "You look fine," and you're like, "Oh, okay." So, in a different moment, you decided something else. So, I don't care whether you want to tone your arms or not. I don't care. What I don't want you to do is flitter around and unconsciously just go with the wind and whatever feels good in the moment. Because now there's no Heather there. There's just whatever your greatest influences are. That's what you're going to be run by. And then again, you're going to go, yeah, I want that too. Or I'm waiting to hear some version of, yes. Yeah, I want that too. Great. So, and how do we get people to choose soberly, guys? Connect them to themselves.
So Ron, if the let's say the task isn't something so clear cut as push-ups versus a walk, it's something more like, I'm going to give myself more self-compassion. We've talked extensively about what that would look like.
I wouldn't let that pass though. I need to know specifically what you'll do to express that.
Yeah, how could somebody? It's like when when I notice myself being harsh on myself, I'm going to close my eyes and tell myself it's okay to feel sad, let's say.
Great. There's two things, by the way, and I want you to ask your question. Any of these times, like somebody who wants to lose weight, and guess what? 8 o'clock rolls around. I'm just going to open the fridge and see, now you're intoxicated. You're doing the thing. So we're going to do two things. One is when you go to the fridge, when you say the nasty thing about yourself, we're going to have something we're going to do right after it. So you're going to go to the fridge and you're going to have a sign in there. It's like, back off, fat ass, or something in there that's like, oh crap, that just happened. Like that breaks my state. Or, as soon as I'm like, oh, you're such a dumbass. It's like, oh, you might not, by the way, in those moments too, you might not see it right away. You'll go to bed, you'll close your eyes and be like, I just talked trash to myself.
Exactly.
Then you'll self-soothe, right? And then you'll start to close the gap to the point where you're finally doing it and soothing. Then you'll stop yourself in the moment. So, but while we're bridging the gap from going to the fridge and opening it or beating myself up, we had to do something preemptive as well. So that brings back to the question you said is, how do I experience more self-compassion en route to breaking the pattern that takes me away from the self-compassion or the destructive behavior itself, right? And so, yeah, you'd have to come up with something like, journaling for 5 minutes every morning about how beautiful I am. So, and again, that's a stereotypical version, but we have to do something proactive to become more of that quality, to act it out in the world. We live too much in a coaching world of the gestalt, the sense of a thing. I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like I'm whatever, or I'm such a loser. Like, no, I always blah, blah, but we don't have eyes to see the actual growth. And so I don't know if you guys ever heard of or talked about, but I do things called personal standards. I don't do values. I do personal standards. Why? Because I want to know specifically, where are you falling down and how specifically will you get better? What are the qualities you need to reveal in yourself on a consistent basis? And when you do that, there's no, when you go to bed at night, you'll either know you were showing up that way. Whoa, I am more of this guy. Despite what my saboteurs are even telling you when I go to bed at night, it's like, no, I did this thing. I made up this rule. I'm doing this. I am this guy. Or no, I'm not. And here's what I'm learning. So we get out of the whole emotional beat myself up game and we can get on to the actual change. Now accountability has teeth.
Just saying, make it more concrete, like the journaling for 5 minutes, not just the like giving yourself self-compassion whenever a nasty voice comes up or something.
Well, you can do that, like I said, and that's the thing to do after you open the refrigerator. You can maybe close it and go do 5 push-ups. You know, if you take 1 step toward the refrigerator, you have to do 5 push-ups. Cool, that's great. That's fun. That's great. That's like, ah, crap. It's 9 o'clock at night. It's like, yeah, dumbass, you should not have walked toward the refrigerator, I guess. You know, and then it's like, oh, okay. And again, then it becomes fun. But then you also want to do the preemptive thing. And the self-soothing, that can be preemptive. You could do 5 minutes of just touching yourself and saying, you know, I am a good man. I'm a good man. I'm loved. I'm a good man. Like, you can totally do that. That's not frou-frou. That's not amorphous. It's actual, but you just don't want to have like when you do this, you know, be good to yourself after. Because that's like, okay, well, what does that actually mean? You need to set up clear rules for the attainment of the goal of experiencing this, feeling this way, knowing these qualities about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, we just got to get out of the land of the amorphous, like I keep saying. All right.
I put a link to the video from your channel on personal standards into the chat in case anybody.
Oh, thank you, Kara, very much.
Everybody, my name is Ron Renaud.
Whoops. Oh, okay. Right somewhere. Was that me? No, okay.
Hi, this is Ron Renaud. It sounds a lot like me, though, didn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Kara. That's great. Yeah, guys, check that out. That's and I have a journal, no big heavy pitch here, but I have a journal where you know, I do this, you know, where it's gratitude, personal standards, then I talk about the standards: enthusiasm, integrity, endurance, courage. And you know what? When I used to do in-person coaching workshops, coaches, they used to like that because it gave themselves something. It also, they gave it to their clients. You know, because it can be useful to do just what we were just talking about for the last few minutes. But okay, stuck in story. What do we do with the stuck in stories? I'm going to get my New York on, as I sometimes say, talk quickly because it's getting late in the hour. This isn't another one of those things where you just don't tell your client to stop talking, right? We know this. We all know you just don't go, okay, Ron, that's enough. And, you know, I will say somebody like me is I talk, I think out loud, baby. I need to, and we all want to feel heard. And some people get those needs met elsewhere and they don't need it so much in their coaching because they're more task driven and that's cool. And some people really, I've expanded what I even consider good coaching, because if Fred, you hire me and you're like, you know what, Ron, you know, I know you can do this, I know you can do that, but I really just need once a week to have it be more therapeutic and more kind of think things through, and you just kind of be a mirror and a kind of a sounding board and something to push off of on some of my thoughts. It's like, well, then that's good coaching because that's what the guy wanted and it makes sense and it's useful. In that case, Fred might say, I just need you to listen to me and witness my stories and, you know, tell me if there's anything inconsistent in it, or at least hear some of what's going on for me and let me know that I'm not alone. It's like, great, that's useful. But barring those sort of extreme examples of the super type A who's just, you know, conquering everything, and my Fred example, you're going to find that people sometimes and I design this in my discovery sessions, I may intrude on you, Tara. I will intrude on you through the coaching. And sometimes it'll be just because you're in the middle of telling a story. And it's because I either have already heard it and I know, or 2, you've told it 1,000 times and I don't need to know. I just need to know the essence. And so, you know, do I have permission? Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, cool. So what are we looking for in the story? One is I'll take a story too, because if it gets them in the experience, which it often does, like, yeah, and I did this thing and then I can't believe I blah, blah, blah. And I'll take that. You'll often hear me talk about shame or regret or pain. Why? It's a good thing because it gets me touching it. Like I want to vomit. All this thoughts, emotions, physical sensations, the urges, all this stuff is, I don't want to live like this anymore. And so if you go, boy, Ron, that looks miserable. It is miserable. How much longer do you want to live this way, Ron? I don't. But you didn't get there unless you let me tell the damn story. What do you want, Ron? Now I can move. Oh my gosh, my brother just did this thing. He did this and that. I'm so sick of this and that. It's always blah, blah, blah. It's like, now maybe that story is just like a yapping, complaining thing. You might go, okay, wait, hold on, Ron. I get like your brother this and your mom this. Like, what's the essence? I'm just really frustrated with my family. And you also want to train with your clients that you've got permission. So Ron might go, yeah, I know I'm going on a bunch here. I need like 30 more seconds just to like say it. Like, okay, cool, go for it. And you're gonna give me 60 seconds to do my thing. And then you say, okay, so forgive me again, Ron. I'm just hearing what I'm hearing is this and that. It's really hard. And at that point, you're gonna really want to witness the experience. Because if they're needing more time for the story, it's not just to relay facts, it's to have you see them. Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to pin that one too. How to be with the low versus cheering up. Well, I think we addressed this in some way. That was you, Kara. But you chose well, like I said. And just to reiterate, Heather, you weren't here a little earlier, but Kara was asking, hey, you got a client who's feeling really low about something. And it's like, well, do you take them into it, or do you like give them a new perspective, or help them kind of get more, resourceful? And the biggest thing that, and you did well again, Kara, was you made a choice. You got to choose, otherwise you're hit by cars on both sides of the road. They're not either feeling the bitterness of the shame or the frustration that they went online and spent $1,000 on stuff they didn't need again, or that it's only this. You did it before. You can choose differently now. And people are doing much worse things to medicate themselves. What do you want to do now? Like, yes, you can choose either of those two things. And again, like I just demonstrated a moment ago with our last little example with the story, is sometimes it's like, yeah, Ron, you screwed up again and you can't even return it. $1,000. You said you've only got 7,000 to your name left, and you frigged up. Let them be with it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Well, it's not that big of a deal. No, Ron, you have 7,000 left. It's a big deal. You keep effing up. You keep doing the same thing. Well, I don't want to feel bad. Nobody wants to feel bad, but you keep doing the same thing. And until you feel bad enough or sick enough that you are so sure you never want to feel this again, you'll just keep doing this because that's what you keep doing. You might have to go that route. And once I've tasted it, smelled it, touch it, like my neck hurts. You take me into it. Yeah, you got this. So, hey, Ron, this doesn't work for you anymore. Right? No. What do you want? How do you want to feel? Oh, I just want blah, blah, blah. Yeah, say more about that. And I love this language. You're seducing Ron to himself. You're seducing Ron into the better part of himself. Now you can take him out to the perspective, the value, the vision, right? And now you've got the no, not that. You're pushing that away while you're grabbing this and pulling towards this. Now you've got some leverage. So, but the biggest thing is you got to choose a direction. And Tara was asking, how do we show up at our best? Well, listen, this goes to self-care, which is just a great old conversation. Make sure you're getting your sleep, eat your veggies or your steak, depending on where you think your minerals are coming from. Do your own damn work. And I throw damn in there because it matters. We can get arrogant. We can get hoity-toity and bougie with our, we read the 4 agreements last week, and I do all 4, and we can start to, there can be an arrogance, which is just the end of learning. So long as you know that you're the same, you could be ushering Jews into a boxcar and shipping them off to Auschwitz under the right circumstances, as well as you could be the one that says no, stands in the way, and, saves 50 of them at the cost of your life. As long as you're aware, like you are capable of the diabolical as well as the divine, and you have the humility to see both kind of playing out in little bitty pieces in your life, and you stay humble, and you keep doing your work, you're fit to be a dynamic and powerful coach. So, I think that would be my only warning about showing up as your best is, stay humble and it shows up everywhere, but in our personal growth community, in our coaching community, there's a faux humility that looks like humility, but is really just arrogance. And we've got to mind that, when I used to be a Christian, it would show up with people saying things like, I'm the most wicked. am I a sinner and I need God's grace? What you're really saying is, I'm such a sinner that I have even more grace than everybody else, and therefore I'm more blessed. It's like, really? And so, yeah, we got to make sure we're not doing that backhanded stuff, personal growth wise, and it's in the more secular or religious sense. So there's my 2 cents on that. Good thing we're out of time. Otherwise you'd get 12 cents. So with inflation, we might need 12 cents to get what used to be 2. So you're very welcome, Heather. We got to go to be on time. I want 1 sentence and rapid fire from everybody. We're going to get you out of here. Jill, start with you. 1 sentence and get out.
Hold them to their shit.
Oh, amen. Put that on a damn bumper sticker. Fred.
What I wrote down here was I'm on the path to becoming more self-disciplined.
Amen. Amen. And it's who
I'm
you
not
are.
very far along the path, but I'm on the path.
That's right. That's great. That's great. All right, Kara.
What's on my mind right now is just presence, of being 100% present with a client and just showing up for them.
That's where your resources always are. Tara.
Witness the experience for myself and my clients.
Amen. There you go. We're all in the same boat together, baby. And Heather.
How much longer do you want to keep living this way?
Ah, what a great question. Good one.
Jesus, I have a client. I'm gonna scream it out to her right now.
She needs to hear that. Okay, good.
Thank you, Ron.
See y'all next month, everybody.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.